Welcome into the Saints Postgame Show presented by Uber Eats alongside former Saints linebacker Scott Shanley, I'm Aaron Summers. When it comes to a division game, you can throw out the records going into it and there's going to be some drama. And there was drama in this one, that's for sure. The Saints, however, come out with the 23-3 loss to the Bucs, open up the NFC South play with the loss here today. But Scott, we talked going into this game about how important it was to start fast, limit the turnovers, and get your run game going.
Yeah.
All three things the Saints couldn't quite do today.
Yeah.
What was the overall take from you?
Yeah, it was definitely a trifecta. We saw too many giveaways. You give the ball away to a divisional opponent, and it puts you behind right away. It was kind of an ominous sign early in the game. Their player made a great play. Spencer tried to throw the ball to the flat. He tipped the ball to himself. And scoring on defense, you're going to win a lot of games where you can produce points without even having your offense on the field. But I think we're all still waiting to find this running game get going.
Yeah.
And today, you didn't get really far behind to where you had to quit running the football, but still only 15 attempts for 48 yards. I don't know. It's one of two things, either giving up on the running game too early or the running game just not being effective enough to give that confidence to call the running plays. But you just haven't seen that part of this offense yet this year in terms of running the football effectively.
When you look at the struggles offensively to get the ball going on the ground, is it offensive line or is it the running backs?
Well, that's the thing. Anytime you are only running the ball 15 times and you're averaging 3 yards a carry, sometimes it just remains, you have to stay committed to the running game. I know offensive linemen, if you ask them, they would much rather run the ball than pass the ball because they just get to lean on a guy every single play. And that's part of the attrition of the game. Is just, it may not be working great in the first quarter, it may be 2 yards, 3 yards, but by the time the third and fourth quarter roll around, that's where those guys start to wear those guys down in the line of scrimmage. And I think we haven't seen them be able to do that yet, just with the lack of running plays.
Looking at what the defense was able to do at the half, it was only Tampa up 7-3, so just down 4, and the only score was that pick 6. So the defense had held the Bucs scoreless, a team that does do extremely well offensively, and that's how they've been winning games. They had 3 sacks, they had a turnover on downs, they had the goal line stand where the Bucs were on the 1 yard line, and in 4 attempts they could not get it in. Huge play by the defense in this game. And it's tough that you didn't have the complement offensively. Yeah,
there's no question. I think that is the frustrating part, is the offense just, at no point in the game did they ever come to life and feel like they were going to give you confidence to come back and win this game. But I agree with you. The defense certainly played well enough to win this game. Did an outstanding job on the goal line. Almost had 2 straight goal line stops on the 1 yard line. That's tough to do in professional football. And, got close to a couple takeaways down here in the end zone. You almost had a couple interceptions. So I think the defense did a really good job of limiting Tampa Bay's offense to the point where they gave the rest of the team enough confidence that we could be in this game all the way through until it got to about 3 scores.
Yeah, Chase Young, I think, had his best game of the season. He has been working back from that injury, but he has 1.5 sacks, one of them being a strip sack that he recovered. I know he wished he could have taken that one into the end zone. It was right behind us. It was very close, and that could have been a huge momentum shift for this team because at that point, you hadn't been able to get in to the end zone. I mean, you didn't. But you hadn't been able to score, and I think being able to score defensively would have helped.
Oh, absolutely. Just like they scored early in the game, they made a play to kind of flip the game early on after a momentum-shifting play, and that's what you do. You go out there, and defensively, we used to call it watch this situations. Every time the crowd thought the game was going one way, you want to go out there and show everybody that you could take control. And Chase certainly played his best game today. That's the dream. You get a tackle for a loss with a sack, a forced fumble, a fumble recovery. That's more than a trifecta. Like, that is the statistician's dream for a defensive end. So it's great to see Chase coming along. When he's out there playing that way and coming back from that calf injury, he's a main part of this defense. And if you can get offenses to start to worry about him every single week, now it allows other people to make plays.
Justin Reed got in on half of one of those sacks, and then also Nathan Shepard had a sack later in the game. So the defensive line was applying a lot more pressure than we have seen them in games prior. So that was definitely something good to take away from this game. And we kind of buried a big part of the lead here in the fact that there was a change at quarterback. Spencer Rattler did start the game and get switched out for Tyler Shough with 3:57 left to go in the third quarter. It was 17-3 at that point. Shough gave it all he got. He ended up having an interception as well. That is something that Rattler did, although I do feel like it was more so on receiver Chris Olave's inability to take the ball to the ground and hold on to it. He got the ball basically just ripped out of his hand. So tough for Shough to go out with that interception. But overall, he did move the ball, and he showed some good things.
Yeah, I thought he did a good job. I think the one thing you want out of that position is obviously you want to make plays. You want to make game-changing plays, but take care of the football. You've seen the turnover start to prop up with Spencer the last couple of weeks, and it was they were looking for life, and that's really why they went to that move. You saw Tyler warming up on the sideline, and he did some really good things. He went through progressions, little things that you don't notice in the box score.
Sure.
But I thought he did a really good job as a young guy coming in, going through his progression. He's got a nice arm. He can make all those NFL throws, which is why they drafted him 40th overall. So I think he did a lot of good things. I would have loved to see him score at the end, something positive going into next week. But as far as executing and running the offense, just being tossed into the middle of the game and not being the number one guy all week throughout practice, I thought he did a good job.
One thing that we also saw from him is his ability to use his legs. He ended up getting a first down at one point. He scrambled like about 12 yards. So it wasn't like he did that a lot, but he did extend plays. He got out of a couple people's attempts at taking him down. So he was pretty elusive there in the pocket as well. It's going to be interesting to see what happens going from here forward. But Rattler did have the fumble early in the game, and then he had the interception. And there was one drive here where I don't know what was happening offensively, but they had 3 straight offensive penalties and then another penalty later in the drive, and they just could not get anything going. So you try to make a switch and add some life into the offense.
And the penalties, you get behind the chains, and that's why we harp so much on the running game, because you have 2 young quarterbacks, and the best friend to those young quarterbacks is not to be in 3rd and long. It's to get into 3rd and short, get into 2nd and 6th, and just not enough times, because between both Spencer and Tyler, they combined for 51 attempts today. That's a lot of attempts in a football game where you only scored 3 points. So you got to get the running game going somehow, whether play design, whether you ask who's doing the running plays, but there's got to come some life from the running game, because that will help out these young quarterbacks more than anything. Yeah,
I mean, you mentioned 48 yards on the ground, ends up with 227 combined passing yards. Rattler was 15 of 21, Shough 17 of 30. He did have more attempts, but again, it was late in the game. You were down at that point, so that's what you're going to rely on there is your passing game. It was Rashid Shaheed who had the best game out of the receiving corps, 9 of 12, 76 yards, although he did have a fumble as well. So if you can get rid of some of these turnovers, these self-inflicted wounds, again, are popping up for the Saints.
It's run after the catch, because in this offense, you're getting the ball out quick, and that's what you want to do. You don't want to get your young quarterbacks hit, because that speeds up their clock, and we've seen many quarterbacks over the years get ruined because they get hit too much. So I think Kellen's doing a great job of getting the ball out of the hands quick of these guys, but now it's up to the receivers. We need some more rack. We need run after catch. We need some big plays, explosive plays, 5-yard plays that go for 50. So a little more play after the ball's caught, but I think also another bright spot for the offense today. I thought Luke Fortner did a great job stepping in for Eric McCoy at center. I mean, this is one of the better defensive fronts in football. Yes, they got some pressure sometimes when they brought extra guys, but when they rushed 4, I thought Luke did a good job, and the middle of the offensive line did a really good job.
Yeah, no, that's a good point, because this was your first game without center Eric McCoy, who is out with a bicep injury for the season. So having Fortner be able to step in and hold his ground in his first, heavy amount of reps, because he did come in at the end of the last game, but we've seen different players moving in on the offensive line, haven't seen a lot of him. So it was a good performance to see by him. And again, the line play was a big part of this game. I know we talked about Vita Vea coming into it. The Bucs end up with 5 sacks, but the Saints had their own as well. They end up with 4 on the day. 3 on the day.
3 sacks, No, we talked about it. I think the Saints defense did a really good job, and I think over the last couple weeks you've seen the defense play better. This, to me, just off the top of my head, this is one of the better games they played. One of the most complete games they played all year. I thought run game, Tampa Bay had to earn everything they got today. And I think when you look at it from a defensive standpoint in this game, in the NFL, if you just don't give plays away and give easy plays, get big plays behind the secondary or missed assignments, I didn't see any of that today. They made Tampa Bay earn everything. And so credit to the defense. Coach Staley and those guys, they had a great game plan for Tampa Bay and Baker Mayfield and how to limit them, because Baker Mayfield is at the top of a lot of people's MVP candidate list. So they did a great job playing against a really good quarterback who's been on fire lately.
Yeah, and they definitely were able to get to him, get him off tempo? No, off
rhythm a little bit.
Yeah. Some whatever the phrase is, but they were able to rattle him a little bit, and he had a fumble of his own. And so I think that there are good things that we saw from off schedule. Thank you to my producer in my ear. There are some good things we saw defensively that hopefully they can build on, because you are going to see this team again in a few months, weeks.
Yeah, you're into division play now. You understand these opponents, and I think that probably led to a little bit of success defensively. Is you understand what Baker's strengths and weaknesses are. Playing against a Mike Evans-less team is definitely a lot easier. They were without Bucky Irving, their running back, as well. So I think defensively, everything that you wanted them going into the game plan. This is how we have to beat Tampa Bay. You limited them for the most part. The scoreboard doesn't show it, but they scored on defense. Otherwise, defensively, you gave up 16 points.
Yeah.
So you did a good job. You giving up 16 points in the NFL. You like your chances in a lot of NFL games. So hats off to the defense. I thought they did a really good job, and there were some bright spots. Chase Young being one of them.
We mentioned it was 7-3 at the half, and then obviously the Bucs came out. They scored on their first offensive drive out of the break, and then it was field goal, field goal, field goal. So they did start getting on the board, but only allowing one touchdown to the Bucs, I think, is definitely a win for the defense.
No doubt, because Tampa, they've been on fire. Like I said, Baker's been playing as good as anybody in the league. They went up to Detroit, lost a tough one, and they were on a short week. And I think that was to the Saints' advantage, getting this team on a short week, banged up. But they have firepower. They have weapons, even though they had some injuries. So, I think it's a silver lining. It's a bright spot that you see these guys playing better defensively.
All right, I think we have head coach Kellen Moore heading to the podium, so we're going to send it to him, get his thoughts after this one.
Big-time goal line stop, the turnover before half that they created. I thought that group did a lot of good, and if you'd say the box score looked like it does on their offense, I feel like we had a chance in this game. And so teams battle offensively at the end of the day. We turned it over 4 times. We didn't do enough good. We didn't do enough good on offense to give ourselves a chance, and that's the unfortunate part of this thing. And so, we got a lot of stuff to work through and improve and get better at, and that's the journey we get to take. So. Yeah, we just need to find a way to create something on offense. It has more to do with the offense collectively. We're just not executing and playing at a high enough standard, and we got to find a way to move the football consistently, protect the football, and score points. And so, this is a pure full offensive evaluation point. We're not there. I think we just got to evaluate this whole thing in the next 48 hours on offense. Find the solutions that give us the best chance to win. Thought Tyler went in there and he looked the part. He made some plays. The one interception was unfortunate. Gave us a chance to convert there. And so, we'll obviously make that evaluation here quickly and make some decisions moving forward. But, this had more to do with the whole offense just not playing well enough and hopefully trying to generate some form of a spark there. Unfortunately, it wasn't able to be done.
Kellen, before the season really said, Rattler's the guy, no need to worry about pulling him or anything like that. But is this maybe a straw that breaks the camel's back as far as today's performance?
This is just, again, this has so much to do with the entire offense. We're not playing well enough. I got to coach better. I got to find the solutions. I'm not doing a good enough job, obviously. And, trying to generate a spark. Spencer, I thought, he has done plenty of good through the course of this season when you look at it from a bigger perspective. We didn't move the ball well enough. We created some turnovers in this game, unfortunately. And so we need to find a way to get the thing going. And, that's our project, and that's our efforts moving forward, is to find those solutions moving forward with however it looks.
What was the decision to make the change when you did? Because obviously you came out after halftime and Spencer had that first drive. So was it something that happened on that possession?
Yeah, I just felt like we were close. We just weren't making enough. We weren't getting it going. There was not enough on offense, and so I just felt like I was trying to create a spark, trying to create something that felt a little different, see if it would provide us with the urgency to execute at a higher level and play cleaner football. And there's some little moments in there, some good plays, but not enough collectively.
Did you feel that the change gave you what you were looking for?
Ultimately, we weren't able to really get anything else going. Unfortunately, I thought we moved the ball. There were some spurts where we moved the ball okay, and then unfortunately, we just aren't able to execute over the course of a drive. And so, I got this is on me. I got to find a better solution here and put ourselves in better situations to be successful, because we're not there yet.
How difficult is it for a rookie quarterback to come into a situation like that?
Yeah, it's never easy. Todd and Tampa, they've always done a great job on defense. It's a challenge. Felt like he hung in there. Tyler hung in there. I thought he battled. We'll see how this thing progresses.
What do you feel? I mean, you're putting a lot on yourself in the midst of all this when it comes to the offense. But what do you feel you should be doing better or different, or whatever?
Yeah, I got to find the solution so that we can execute at a higher level, be more consistent, and protect the football. And so, we got to be a cleaner football team, in particular on offense. Certainly showed up a lot today, and so that's on me. I got to do a better job of this. We're not there. We're not executing at a high enough level, and so I got to find the components and the pieces, and from a schematic standpoint, that'll allow us to do that.
Why do you think Spencer wasn't able to bounce back from some of the turnovers he had last week?
The ball security one was just obviously protecting the football out in space. Guys are coming from in pursuit, and you got to be ready. There's always that guy that's coming from the backside, and that was an unfortunate one. And then the backed up one, I thought the guy made a tremendous play. But again, we got to protect the football, and that's an unfortunate sequence there.
Kevin, have you had a point at any time in your career where you've had this kind of stretch, 8 turnovers in 2 games, and does there become like a snowball effect with turnovers?
Great question. Defenses sometimes create those snowball effects. Unfortunately, we're in that, so the facts are the facts. We're turning the ball over too much, and so it's fair to view it that way. Has it happened in your career? Obviously, we've all gone through these moments. We got to come out of it a much cleaner, higher, efficient football team, particularly on offense. And so, again, we just didn't do enough winning football.
You've done a pretty good job of not letting the quarterback thing become the story. The other guy lurking behind the other, all that's been pretty quiet. Now that the door's open, how do you keep it so it's not a thing that becomes divisive or distracting or anything like that?
Yeah, we'll navigate this thing over the next 48 hours, put ourselves in position to have a good week, get ready to roll. Again, I'm not into flip-flopping quarterbacks and all this sort of stuff. Again, this had just an element of, lately not executing high enough football and not playing well enough on offense and trying to create a spark. And so, I'm not into this back and forth game, but we do have to make some decisions here moving forward, really as a whole offense collectively with a lot of positions.
So are you going to pick one or the other, or would there be any sort of competition this week?
Yeah, no, we'll have to make a decision. We have to get the reps allocated properly so someone has a chance to be successful on Sunday.
Kellen, how would you describe the mood in the locker room right now?
Yeah, frustration. Guys are battling. I love this group. This group competes every way. You always talk about the play style and the physicality and the finish, and those components are out there. And so that's the tough part. We just got to play cleaner. We got to play better. We got to play to a higher standard. And so, the frustration is, there's not the consistency in all 3 phases where they can all complement each other. I thought, again, our defense, there were some really good plays in there. They had a drive or 2 that they kind of got some momentum going, but I thought our guys battled. If you looked at the box score of theirs, I'd say, we'd have a heck of a chance in this game, and I thought teams-wise we battled as well. And so there were moments on offense, certainly. There were moments and gave us some momentum at times, but I just got to find the solution that works best for us.
Are the turnovers the main difference in Spencer's play the last 2 weeks, or other areas maybe?
I think turnovers obviously make a huge impact on this game. It's popped up. Again, we got to just execute at a higher level, protect the football. There's hard downs in this league. We got to find some solutions there, whether it be third downs, red zone, put ourselves in these challenging situations and come up successfully. And so, again, we'll do this collectively as an offense. I gotta lead the way and help these guys and put them in better positions.
It seemed like Tampa was extra aggressive punching at the ball, but you've seen it, and is that something that maybe they saw on tape, guys lose with the ball?
I think they've always done an excellent job of it. Todd's defense has always attacked the football at a really high level. I do think when you create turnovers, when your offense has turnovers, it's the old they see it in the waters, and they see that there's an opportunity presented there, and the defense sees that it's close, and if we can keep attacking it, odds say based off evidence that's previously happened that we're going to get this football at some point. And so we just got to address it and kind of get ahead of this thing because it's been a couple weeks now.
What did you tell Spencer to decide to put Shough in?
Yeah, I told him what I told you guys. I'm trying to create a spark here. I'm trying to create something on offense. Hang in there. I love Spence. I love Tyler. I love these guys to death. So these are never easy things. They're really, really challenging because I know what these guys put into this thing each and every day. But we're just trying to find a formula that works to our advantage, and we'll continue to address that.
You mentioned that you was concerned with the way that the offense was moving or not moving to your liking, but there's also been sort of this moniker over the course of the season about 3-pointers and layups.
Mm-hmm.
Are you dissatisfied with the amount of layups that are being taken? Do you want to see the offense open more?
We got to find explosive plays, absolutely. We got to put ourselves in situations to allow it. Can't be playing from behind where teams can play all this fun blitz and coverage game, and you play in those situations, it's going to be really, really hard to ever get anything downfield. we got to put ourselves in better situations, I think, more than anything. We have a shot downfield and we get a sack at the +40 as, that second drive of the game. We feel like we're moving the ball, and then, protection issues, and then, we don't get our shot downfield. And now all of a sudden, we're close to getting a field goal. Now we're punting. And so there's just too many opportunities that we're not getting those chances.
Was the offense limited at all in terms of you go to the rookie and he hasn't gotten a ton of reps? Was he able to run the entire?
Yeah, he ran. Yeah, Tyler ran it just fine. Obviously, we're limited more from the circumstance than anything, but Tyler was not limited in any way.
Are you satisfied with the total level of buy-in you're getting from the team? Is everyone still engaged, still in this thing?
Yeah, I love this group. I love the way our guys lead, the way our guys practice each and every week. They battle. I love the effort that we play with. We just got to play some cleaner football and give ourselves a chance to be more successful. And so, there's a lot of little details in the leagues. There's these really small margins in the NFL, and we got to find a way to close those little margins and those gaps.
You guys are 1-7, and it's the halfway point. You've had 8 games now to evaluate Spencer. Because you guys drafted Shough in the second round, how much does that, and needing to see him from an evaluation standpoint, does that factor in?
I don't know. We'll see. I think the most important thing is what's going to give us the best chance to go play in LA next week, and so we'll make those decisions here shortly.
You talked about what you told Spencer. How did he receive the news when you told he was coming back here?
He's a really special person because he handles this as well as anyone possibly can. A lot of guys in this league have to navigate these challenging situations, and he understands that. And so, I have all the respect in the world for how he handled it, how he's operated. Again, there's been plenty of good through the course of this season. Spencer's a really good quarterback in this league. We haven't done enough good collectively as an offense to be successful, and so we got to continue to navigate that.
How did penalties play into today's game from your perspective?
Yeah, they obviously impact the game. I think we got to play cleaner. Too many of the pre-snaps, again, there's judgment penalties, and those go 50-50 all the time. The pre-snap we got to be able to control, and so it's not to our standard, and we've had plenty of games where we've met our standard, but we've slipped a little bit this week.
What do you think of the goal line defense? You mentioned it a little, I think it was
Yeah.
8 stops in a row.
Yeah, incredible performance, and again, when you look at the last few weeks, we had a really good one against Chicago. We've had some in the past few weeks, show up where our guys have just done a really good job of battling each and every play, and that's all we can ask for is every play, there's a big-time opportunity, and whether it's first quarter all the way through the fourth, and I thought our defense did another really good job there. It took it all the way to the fourth down to finally get it, and in that second drive, and so they were competing. They were right there.
Yeah, it was the first game this season with no points allowed in the first quarter. Was there something different to the way that you all started the game, or was it more of an execution?
Our guys executed really well. I thought there was urgency, effort. I thought we did a really good job early in that game, and it allowed us to be right in there all the way. Second half, we're still in it, and then the turnovers, create some opportunities for them.
I know you shrugged it off during the week, but do you think Baker's comments had any impact on the defense?
I don't know. I don't know about that. Our guys, I thought, just played really good football and defense a lot of this game and executed at a much higher level.
This is probably a better Wednesday question, but do you have a philosophy on taking the ball first or deferring?
We've navigated a few different ways this year. I think the most important thing is we're trying to get a game and have the lead, and we're trying to find a way. And so taking the football gives you the best opportunity to create that, and unfortunately we didn't capitalize on that this week. All right. Thanks, guys.
All right.
So, Kellen walked us through the conversation that he had with you on the sideline. Just mentioned what it was that he said to you when the decision for the quarterback change was made. Can you take us through that moment for you and just your response?
Yeah, I mean, we came out of the half, didn't have a great drive, kept getting backed up. Just really couldn't catch a rhythm. And, he said, hey, we're going to go with Tyler, get a little spark, see what's going to happen. And, it's part of the game. I understand you can't control everything, but, hey, I'm going to be a great teammate and respond the right way, be a pro about it and help in any way I can.
What do you feel like turnovers the last 2 weeks have been an issue for you?
Yeah, I mean, moving the ball great the first drive. Great opportunity in the rush lane. Try to make a little juke move and just try to tuck it away too late and, had a great punch up. So got to protect the ball better when I'm running and make sure it's tight. And then, the backed up one off the play action keeper, it's unfortunate. He got his hand on it. It was a good play by him. Try to move on after that one. That was tough, but thought we were going to respond and try to bounce back from that.
What do you think overall has been the main theme of the turnover struggles for you the last couple of weeks?
Last 2 weeks, I think last week I started pressing. I don't feel like I pressed at all this game. I think got careless with keeping it high and tight on that first drive on the run. Would have had a great run there. And then I think the tip pick was unfortunate. So, yeah.
Do you feel like you put any pressure on yourself, given what happened in Chicago heading out as well?
No, I knew I wanted to play a cleaner game. Wasn't happy with the fumble, obviously, the first drive, but try to respond in the right way. I think as a group, we just, starts with me. We got to just execute better, see things better. Credit to their defense. They did a lot of great things. Knew they were going to give us a lot of different looks, which they did. But no, I don't feel like I put too much pressure on myself. I just, had to control those moments and tuck the ball tighter, literally.
And for your guys' drives across midfield, what are you seeing that's been like a season-long thing of not being able to convert maybe the way you guys want to? Was there anything you were seeing today specifically with it?
Yeah, I mean, we were converting on third down well. Our numbers were okay in the first half. They brought some good pressures. We had the right answers versus a good amount of them. Could have got the ball out maybe quicker on some checkdowns when we crossed that 50-yard line. We knew that was a high-pressure area. A couple missed stops, but got to watch the tape and see what happened when we crossed the 50 because it seems like we couldn't really get anything going once we passed that 50. So we got to watch the tape, figure that out.
What's next? How do you handle this week?
I mean, I just go at it the same way. It's part of the game. I've been through adversity before. I'm going to be a good teammate, have good body language, still be a leader. So I just got to show up to work, keep a smile on my face, keep working. And, you can only control what you can. I've said that before. So I'm control what I can and keep attacking the same way.
Were you surprised at the decision?
A little bit, but, hey, no bad feelings at all with Kellen. That's my guy. He's awesome. He's been awesome all year. And, we haven't really gotten anything going on offense, the last 2 weeks. So, hey, understood. Just got to show back up and figure out what we need to get better at.
So disappointing but not surprising, you'd say?
A little bit of both. Definitely not happy with the turnovers. You're not happy with that. Not scoring points offensively the whole game. You're not happy with that. But hey, it is what it is. Charge it to the game. Move on. That's all you can do.
Spencer, your thoughts on the way that the defense played and the way that they played? I guess that'd be extra frustrating to get the home and end zone.
They played great. They gave us a chance. It's been like that the last few weeks. They played with energy. They played with more energy than us, more focus, more effort, and you could see it. So we got to respond better, especially when they give us the opportunity before half to go score at midfield. We got to convert on that, and get 7 instead of 3. So defense is doing their thing. Offense got to wake up. So, we got to figure that out and keep working at it.
Is there anything you attribute that to, like why the defense would be more focused than the offense?
Maybe focus isn't the best word. I think just playing with more fire. I think you could see that. I think offensively we can get some things going, create some momentum, create some energy. And that starts with just basic plays, right? Moving the chains, hitting the shot when it's there, getting first downs, and then ultimately finishing in the red zone, which we haven't been doing. So, we just got to do better in those areas and, keep our – really up our level in energy and fire, all that. But it comes with execution.
Why hasn't the fire been there?
I think we just got – you got to catch a rhythm. I think our rhythm wasn't there. Started out the game well, turned it over. That's not great, but how you respond is everything. So we didn't respond well. I think you gotta execute to have that fire. We play with fire. Don't get it mistaken. We play with energy. We're dialed in, but we just gotta execute better. It comes down to execution. It comes down to situations, and just trusting the play that's called and getting it ran well.
Do you think Tampa did anything that Chicago also did? Like, did that game carry over to what they tried to do against you guys today?
No, a little different. We knew Tampa's a heavy pressure team. We had a good plan coming into it. I want to say the first third down of the game, they brought cover zero, blitzed everybody, and we made the right check and got the ball out. But yeah, Bulls is going to give you something different every single play, and it's what we expected. They out-executed us, that's clear, and all game. And so we just got to look at our preparation, take it to the next level, and move on from this one, move on to the next.
How do you process the last two results with the overall improvement you've made this season?
The last two games?
Yeah, like,
Um,
where maybe you regressed, and then but overall it happened good before that. Like,
Yeah, you want to improve each week. Last week, obviously, you got careless with the ball a little bit. This week, first drive, again, high and tight. That's on me. I got to keep it high and tight. We preach that every day. You're never safe when you're out there running, especially as a quarterback, so you got to keep it high and tight. I think just protecting the ball, that's it. And then taking the completion when they're there. I felt like I was taking them. A few missed ops, but got to go back on the tape and watch it. But yeah, got to be better. Got to be better. Thank you.
You studied it, but yeah, me too.
I think it's going to be better.
Was that a cat with me? First off, it was country. But that's not a cat. Yeah. What'd you think for the first time?
Ultimately we didn't score enough points and didn't get the job done. So was proud of how those guys battled, but ultimately we just got to go back to the drawing board, keep getting better.
When you get an opportunity like that in the second half of the game, but don't have practice and everything like that leading up, just kind of what's the division there for a young quarterback stepping into a role like that, or into a moment like that?
Yeah, I felt prepared. I think the whole quarterback room, the offense. I think we we're preparing well. I got to continue to increase that. But for me, I was just going out there and doing everything I can and just having fun with it. But going to continue to look at what we did wrong, what we did well, try and improve on those, and go from there.
What was the conversation to you when Kellen said that he turned to you looking for a spark for the offense? What does that mean to you?
I was just ready to go in there and try and do my job and go out there and play. It was awesome to get in there and playing, and but ultimately we're going to continue to get better and just go from there.
Did you know coming out after halftime that was a possibility, or was it kind of in that moment?
I was just in the moment, yeah, just in the moment. Just told me to get ready to go. That was it, and yeah, just preparing each week, and in my head and from every game since, I was ready to go and got to continue to be ready. No nerves. I think preparation wise, body wise, was feeling good. So just was going out there and doing everything I can. Like I said, we'll continue to kind of get in the groove, get better. But yeah, it was ready to go and just got to continue to keep building. No, I was more focused on the play, but obviously get loud. You're not really not focused on that as much, but I think my earpiece wasn't really working on the first drive as much either, so I had to switch helmets immediately, which was not ideal, but we got it fixed.
Were there things you liked or didn't like about how you played? Do you have any self-evaluation at this point?
Not yet. Obviously got to watch the game to completely look at everything, but at the end of the day, we didn't score enough points, so it sucks. And but yeah, we'll look at it, and especially myself, and see how I can get better, and then we'll continue to grow as an offensive unit to try and get the job done. Because ultimately, the defense, they played really well. They made some huge stops. They're bringing the juice. We just got to go out there and execute, protect the ball. That's really on us. No, that was like a wristband issue with it's like Taysom has a different wristband, so it was just like a weird communication thing with that. So it was kind of a fluke deal, I guess.
When I had the doors open for you to compete and be the starting quarterback going forward, how do you approach this coming week?
The same as I have been. I think going each week, preparation-wise, like I'm going to go in, you have to continue to do that no matter what. So nothing's going to change. Just continue to what I'm doing and try and have a sense of urgency this week coming into offensive meetings, preparation, practice, because ultimately it's on us and we got to get better.
If he decides that it's time for you to start now, or do you feel like you're ready?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I feel ready. I felt ready every single week. Obviously it's good to get there and get some reps, but like I said before, we got to continue to have that sense of urgency to continue to grow and do everything we can to win.
What's it been like for you just waiting for the opportunity, having to kind of sit there and watch them?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot because Spencer's done some really, really good things. Being able to see that growth, grow myself. I've been getting, if not the most reps in practice from a scout team perspective. You're going against live bullets with those guys, and it's usually not the best look. So I felt, each week I've been continuing to grow and felt really ready to go. And yeah, it's been good, but I got to continue to grow. So that's got to be the answer.
Did you ever imagine your first completion will be to another quarterback?
Yeah. It was a good play call. Taysom obviously was out there in the flies, but just kind of happened that way. And but yeah, it was pretty good.
So how do you prepare yourself then over the course of the week for a moment like that?
Just like I said before, continual preparation. I think being a backup quarterback, you have to prepare like you're the starter because you don't know when you're going to go in, and obviously that can be mentally and physically just a different challenge. And then when you go in there when you're playing, you just lean on that preparation. So for me, it's going to be no different, and I think that's why you can come into games and go out there and play.
From your perspective, what's unique about developing, growing as on the scout team?
For me, it's football. You're not going against a scouted card look of what you may see. You got cards and you're essentially the same plays you're running. So how can you make it like a game? And that's kind of been the emphasis that my quarterback coach, Kellen, all the guys, that how can I make this game like? And I've tried to be really intentional to where there is no difference. And obviously, when you're going against a really good defense like the Buccaneers, it's going to be a slight difference between that. But for me, I felt really prepared and got to continue that preparation.
Do you find it helpful that you get to go up against the first team defense in those situations?
100%. Yeah, the pocket's real, the coverage, everything. Like I said, you got to find a way to make a play, and that's what I've kind of enjoyed throughout this moment, and continue just to build that preparation and attack each day.
What conversation did you and Spencer have after Kellen made the switch?
Just dap each other up. There wasn't really a conversation. We were just trying to get going as an offense, so there wasn't too much. But Spencer's my guy. We preparing every single week. We're going to continue to do that, and we're going to continue to all get better as an offense.
The majority of your practice reps been with Luke at Center.
Yes, in the past, not this week, obviously, but yeah, in the past. So I've felt extremely comfortable going out there with him and all the guys, just getting those reps in.
What does it take for a guy to get into the organization so far into the preseason to pick up the offense?
Yeah, I mean, he's done an excellent job. I mean, he's so smart to come in immediately, learn it like that, contribute in multiple ways. So really proud of him and his preparation, his work, because that's not an easy task either, especially going against that front. So really proud of him and the whole line. I think they did a really good job. So we just got to continue to grow and we'll get it done.
There's so much of, I guess, development goes on behind closed doors during the regular season.
Mm-hmm.
So people haven't really gotten to see you play since the summer and the preseason. Do you have an area that you feel like since then you've really grown in or improved at?
Yeah, I think, like I said before, making it game-like, because it is game-like. It's the time clock football element for sure. It's a lot different when you're on offense going against scout team D and when you're giving the defense a look, because they're obviously first team D. So you got that time clock football element, trying to make it game-like. That's where I feel like it kind of helped me out a lot, especially when you're going against a good front. But, yeah, I think for all of us and as an offense and myself, just we're going to continue to prepare more and continue to do everything we can.
Is that kind of who you are as a player, like pushing it a little bit, being a little bit more aggressive, or is that situation based, or just kind of how you like to attack the field?
Yeah, I mean, my mindset is I'm going to attack no matter what, and got to try and do everything I can to score points and then find completions. But also that's just kind of part of the game when you're down and you got to go and the clock's against you, and so that's just part of it when you're having to throw it more, and you can't run the ball as much just because of the time. So part of that, a little bit of both. But I think I've done, learned a lot from Spencer in the offense and just around the league, watching a lot of film, and just you don't have the ability to get through 4 or 5 progressions, just because of that time clock element. So you got to find the best way to get out of your hand your playmakers.
And it looked like you stepped out of 2 or 3, maybe 4 sacks. Is that just instinct, or are you planning it? How do you process that in the moment as it's going on?
It's just instinct. You're obviously you're just playing the rep as it is, and I think that's the battle as a quarterback, is you don't want to predetermine. So you're just playing as it is, and it's an instinct. If something happens, if they give you a certain look, then you might change it a little bit. But yeah.
And I'm assuming the speed of the game and everything, it looked like it felt pretty comfortable. Did it? Anything surprise you about that?
No. I mean, I think just execution-wise and all that stuff, it's got to be better. But speed of the game-wise, no. I think that's why just the past few weeks and scout team-wise, I think that's been the best thing for me to continue to just learn and grow. And even preseason, I felt solid with that. And it's obviously when you get to regular season and continue forward, it's going to continue to build.
How often since preseason and training camp have you gotten opportunities to throw to guys like Olave, so the stars on offense?
In practice reps, 0, but I'm trying to do everything I can to get some after practice. Routes on air, obviously you're getting a few, but very minimal with those guys. So it's good to kind of get some reps with them. But we, getting as much reps as I can, saying after every single practice, going through the whole script and throwing to Kevin and Dante and all those guys, and they've done a really good job. So, I'm obviously want to continue to grow myself, and but yeah, I mean, Olave, Sheed, Cookie, they did a really good job just getting it out of routes, and I got to put a couple more balls better on Jawan as well. He's a big difference maker, and got to help him out.
Did you find that calibration, speed-wise in particular, with how fast these receivers are, did you find that to be something that you needed to adjust to today at all?
No, I think it's just football. I think there's a slight chemistry element. Each guy has different body movements, or that chemistry can continue to grow. But at the end of the day, you're just playing.
At times, did you get any messages from Alvin or some of the other veteran players when it's time for you to go in?
Yeah, Cookie came up to me and just, we'd been talking all year, he just kind of, everything that we talked about to this point, just go out there and be you. I think that's everyone. I couldn't remember, but a bunch of people came up to me, just be you, keep doing what you're doing in practice. So yeah, that was kind of the message from them, and obviously it was good to hear, just because I, look up to those guys, love those guys, and got to continue to be the guy for them.
Callan said that it's not going to be a competition this week. He's going to pick one quarterback or the other. He doesn't want to flip-flop. Does it sort of make you feel like it's summer all over again when you're kind of waiting for them to ultimately make that decision?
I don't know if that's the right comparison, I guess, but I think for me, we just got to have a better sense of urgency and as a collective offensive unit to be able to go out there and execute. That's my whole mindset at the end of the day. I think the entire offense, because the defense has been playing really well, and we just got to go out there and help them out.
It might be just that, but and this might be too simple, a very simple question, but what do you want to come from this? I mean, getting the opportunity to finally go out there in the second half. You got some reps during Seattle, but that was obviously a very different situation. But getting this opportunity, what do you want this? What do you want next? Like, where do you want things to go next?
I want to win. I want growth, continue. I think we gotta go out there and execute and win. So I think, in order to do that, Jay Reed said you have to go back to the little things and little details and all that stuff. So it's been great for me to see from afar, watching just how an NFL game goes and how valuable those possessions are, especially so protecting the ball, time clock, all that stuff. Finishing in the red zone. How vital that is, and it's a collective unit, and we got to do it.
Have there been any discussions like in the last several weeks leading up to this that your time might be coming, or was this truly like a in the moment, like, hey, this is happening?
Just in the moment, yeah. I think for me, in my own head, I've been preparing the same exact way for that exact moment, so it wasn't a surprise in my head as far as because I have to be ready. So. But yeah, there wasn't a preliminary conversation though.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
Chase, 2 games, or a couple games back now, 2 sacks from the course last couple of games. Do you feel like you just stepped right into what was needed from you with this new defensive system?
Yeah, man, I'm just honestly just going out there and just playing my game. I ain't trying to step in, fit in, nothing. I'm just playing.
Goal line defense was, obviously I think it was 8 stops in a row without the penalty, and they obviously got it on the 4th down. What was the key there?
Fight. I mean, between the 2-yard line, I mean, you just got to fight. Just push them back as hard as you can. I mean, we know they're going to run the ball. Everybody know they're going to run the ball. You just got to stop it. And, I feel like hats off to our interior D-line, Gotchow, Breeze, Bull, Shep. They stood tall.
Chase, what does that say, not only fighting at the end of those drives once they got down to the 1, but the fight you guys were showing on defense even after the 1-6, 1-7?
Yeah, man, our motto is just control we can control. And when we get out on that field, just control all the controllables, and we just got to continue to do it. Offense going to get right, and right when they get right, it's going to come right together because the defense, we ain't stopping.
How much did you want that return on that home recovery?
Yeah, man, it was like a blur for a second. But nah, I just went down so somebody don't come hit the ball out my hand or something.
Chase, you've been on a few teams that have had like multiple quarterbacks throughout the season. How difficult is that to not have that one guy and that?
I mean, that's like we can't control that. That's over our head. And we kind of just locked in as edge rushers. We just locked in on what we got to do. And those things we just can't really worry about.
Chase, when you get off that pass, are you timing like the snap count, or is that just like raw ability to see it go that fast off the line?
I mean, I try to jump it sometime. I mean, being an edge rusher, just being out there and feeling how they start to snap the ball, feeling the cadence, feeling the tackle. You can start, feeling the motions. A lot of teams like to snap the ball right off the motion. So, you start timing little things like that up, and you just get into the field.
It just works, obviously. He's a guy that people, talk about very highly. Good matchup for you today. Like, what was going right about that matchup today?
I'm just balling.
This was one of the first game so far for the season to where there were no points allowed in the first quarter. What was different for you guys?
Honestly, we talk about every man taking care of their assignment. This week that was real heavy, holding each other accountable. Not getting our feelings when we are getting held accountable, and just going out and executing. That's what Coach Staley preaches. We got to execute, and we're just going to continue to fight to execute every week.
The accountability part outside of the building, that kind of gets thrown around a lot, right? Oh, who's going to hold accountability? But what does accountability actually look like in a situation like you were describing?
Kind of just going back to film. If they get a big chunk play, where did we go wrong? Just accepting it. If I was wrong, I've been wrong, and that's just accepting it, moving forward, and just not making the same mistake twice.
On that one you stripped, how are you watching that? Like, at what point do you see the ball going up? Are you thinking in your head the whole time, I'm waiting for the ball?
Nah, it's just more so his right side of his body, just scrape that joint. Literally, just scrape the whole right side of his body because his arm over there. So you just got to hit all the way down. And that's kind of what you're thinking when you're not trying to wait for him. You wait, Baker would step up, you know what I'm saying? So it's just, at the end of the day, I could have just hit him. But, we preach get the ball out, so. Mm-hmm.
Thanks for waiting.
Thanks, guys.
That was head coach Kellen Moore, quarterback Spencer Rattler, and Tyler Shough, defensive end Chase Young. And the question that was posed to Coach Moore was, okay, what are we doing with the quarterbacks going forward? And he said he was going to make the decision quickly. He's going to give it about 48 hours, review the tape, because he doesn't want to go back and forth between quarterbacks. And then you want to get whoever is going to start the reps during the week. The fact that Shough came in, played as well as he did without those first team reps during the week, definitely is a factor in how he played. So you want to set up whoever the quarterback is going to be the best way that you can leading up to this next game against the Rams.
Yeah, and that's a good point. The amount of reps you get as the number one guy going into a work week. On Wednesdays, it's first and second down. Thursdays, it's all third down plays. And then on Friday, it's red zone, short yardage. So that guy who's the number one guy gets most of those reps. So you really tie your game plan around who that number one guy is, the plays he likes, the plays he doesn't like. So it'll be the Saints will know early in the week. There's nobody that wants to know more than the Saints fans, but also the Rams want to know too. So it'll be interesting how long they try to keep that a little bit of a secret. But there's no doubt, whoever gets that number one spot, this offense is going to be tied to what they do and what their strengths are.
I'm sure the quarterbacks are waiting to find out who it's going to be as well. They're probably attacking film and playbooks as we speak already. Well, it was a 23-3 loss today here against the Bucs. The Saints are back at it next week in LA against the Rams. And then it'll be at the Panthers, so we have a couple games here before they're finally getting to the bye week. But right now, the team's healthy, coming out of this one healthy, which is also a positive. I don't know. We'll see what happens next.
And I think, just to your point before the bye week, I think it's a positive to get Tyler some of these plays. Even today, you have time to work on some things, and then the bye week, you have a full week to say, hey, sit down with these guys and say, this is what you need to improve on. This is what we're seeing on film. So it's a positive that you got some of these plays in today, even though the win-loss didn't turn out the way you wanted it to. Yeah,
we are continuing to build here, and we saw some really good things on the defensive end. Shough showed some good things, so we'll see how things pan out the rest of this week. As always, stay tuned to NewOrleansSaints.com for all of that information. We will have Kellen Moore's press conference live on our website. 12:45-ish, I think, is when he's been talking usually, so look out for it there. But for Scott Shanley, I'm Erin Summers. Thanks for joining us here on the New Orleans Saints post-game show as the Saints fall 23-3 to the Tampa Bay Bucs. See you next week.